Hello, good morning. I just wanted to jump on here and do an update. It's been a few days since I posted anything, and it's been a really, really good couple of days. It's maybe closer to a week. It's been a really, really good week. So I've not gone to the ER. So the liquid diet is working. Just doing my shakes, the smoothies that I do in the morning, and then just keeping it to eggs and steak and a little bit of chicken here and there. My body seems to do just fine with, so that's huge. But the good news, the really, really good news, is I went to the gynecologist to get a pelvic exam on Wednesday, a couple days ago. And she printed off all of the CAT scan reports, and because I asked her, I wanted to know maybe a little bit more specifically what she thought was going on based on the reports and based on like what she actually found in the pelvic exam. Because I'm pretty sure that I mentioned that I had stage 4, well, I definitely mentioned I had stage 4 cancer, but I may have mentioned that it metastasized into my ovary. Well, that's what was thought. And so initially I was diagnosed with what's called a Kirkenberg tumor, and which the prognosis on that is really, really awful. It's less than a year. Not sure why that specific one is so gnarly, but it is. That's what I thought I had this whole time. And that sucks. So you're left with this feeling of not having any time. You're rushed on treatment. You don't want to miss anything. You just want to keep down in the chemo and whatever they do to you. Yeah. So it hasn't been officially undiagnosed yet, but what the gynecologist, based on the CAT scan, says that she read that the ovaries were not involved. In the first couple of CAT scans, they said that it was, and then towards the end, the last 2 CAT scans I had, it was pretty clear that my ovaries were not involved. And what she palpated, she could feel where my ovary was, and then she felt that there was one that had atrophied, which indicates menopause, which is also great. That's also good news. Apparently, cancer, or not cancer, but chemo can cause you to go through menopause. So I had my last cycle at the end of May, and I haven't had one since. And yeah, so that's that. That's the end end of an era, I guess, which feels oddly very, very good. What else? Oh, so if I don't have a Kirkenberg tumor, which I'm 99.9% sure that that's not what it is, and I kind of always knew that's not what it was. Anyways, that means that I just have colon cancer, which of course is a big deal, but it's not as big of a deal. The prognosis is better, I have more time, it's more easily treatable, from what I've read and from what I've known and been told. And also, I went through and got exact measurements for the mass that's in my belly. The mass that they originally thought was a fluid-filled cyst. Turns out it was not a fluid-filled cyst. It was just a soft, non-dense mass. It was huge when I first started. It was the size of a volleyball, and it stuck out of my belly. It looked like I was pregnant. I could not hide it. Yeah, it was huge. And it was pressing on my organs and pressing on my digestion and making things really difficult, of course. That's gone down now about 25 to 30%, at least, if not 40%. It's more just a little bit bigger than a large softball, so, or a huge grapefruit, I guess. And knowing that it's not a solid mass, it's a sort of a soft matrix of tissue. That's huge. So things are going well. The hydration is working. My iron levels are up. Haven't been in any pain. I've been able to eat. I've been able to work. I'm taking, this next 6 weeks or so to work and to get healthy and to do some fasting before I do any more treatments. I also got referred to a different doctor, one down in LA, to get a second opinion on all of this, of course, and to get a second opinion on how to move forward. Is it surgery? And now that I don't have this giant mass, surgery wouldn't necessarily be a midline incision. It would be done laparoscopically. It would be much easier. Surgery, chemo, if the chemo is going to be the same, the chemo that I was on was called 5FU, which is such a lovely acronym, but it's a fluoride-based chemo. And it's pretty gnarly. As if you're watching this or interested in this at all, you're probably familiar. You know what I'm talking about. So the side effects are pretty bad. The other thing that I've been considering, I'm going to do some experimenting over the next, like I said, month, 6 weeks or so, with the fasting, with some alternative supplementations, with some functional medicine protocol as well. Now that I sort of have seen progress and I'm much more relaxed about this, and I'm doing fine, I'm doing well. I'm having a chance to really think intuitively and to see, like, how do I want the rest of my treatment to go? Okay, what do I want this to look like? And that's given me a lot to think about. I read a shit ton of books over this weekend, and basically anything that I could, I just looking at all different viewpoints and approaches to healing cancer. And that's given me a lot to think about. So there's a chance I may not continue with chemo. We're going to see how this experimentation goes over the next few weeks. But the good news is that it's not growing, it's shrinking. I just feel like the conditions under which caused it to grow so fast that I've changed those conditions in my body. Of course, the chemo is a big factor as well. Chemo does work. As gnarly as it is, it does work. And if the next 6 weeks, if I don't get the progress that I think I can, then I'll go back to chemo, and we'll just go from there. And I'll just go through it and deal with it, and but that's my plan B right now. My plan A is to see if I can do this in a more healthy way. And part of it is to prove to myself that I can do this, but I'm doing this experimentation knowing that I can always go back to chemo and knowing that there's always other options. But for right now, everything is stabilized and or moving in a positive direction. So yeah, that's my update, and I hope everyone's doing well. And if you've watched any of my posts in the past, some of them are emotional and they're pretty tough, but just know that those days happen, but then these days happen as well. And it's taken me 3 months to get to this point where I feel good and I feel optimistic and I'm getting good news. And some of my gut intuitions that I had initially, that this was not Kirkenberg, that was validated, and it took 3 months for that to happen. And I'm just asking a lot of questions. I had 4 doctor's appointments this week, and that was the focus of all of them, is just to get everyone's opinion, everyone's viewpoint, and it was all very, very helpful, and just sort of piecing together this puzzle for myself. If you're going through a tough time at the moment, just know, it may be a little ways out, but you will have good days and things will turn a corner. I don't want to say stay positive because that sounds so glib, but just keep believing and don't give up hope. Don't give up believing in yourself. That's it. I can't say stay positive because sometimes it's just too much. When you're in pain, it's hard to be positive. So, and I don't think it's that helpful when you're in pain and you're trying to be positive. I think, you're sort of distancing yourself or sort of disconnecting from what your body's trying to tell you. So, let the pain be the pain. Let those bad days be bad days, but just don't get stuck there. Just know in the back of your head that you will have a good day. You will have a good day. I think I'm going to end it there for now. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep rambling. So I hope everyone has a really wonderful day.